Great. Hello and welcome to the first of many TSO graduate and apprentice video interviews. My name is David Lindley. I'm a second year graduate working within AGIP. These video interviews are for us as graduates to find out a bit more about what goes on behind the scenes at BT with some interesting characters and people. And today I have the pleasure of having a quick chat with David Pamplin, who's the director of the Academy.
Hi David.
So firstly, thank you for taking time to have a chat with me today. So let's kick things off, nice and simple. Can you describe your job role at BT?
Yes, I can. So I'm currently the director of the Academy within BT, which is, I guess, our new method of learning right across the whole of the business. So regardless of what region, what line of business you're in, or what grade you are, you're all part of the Academy. But my role also looks at the apprenticeship intakes, the graduate intakes. We look at our employer brand as well, and also we do some work around pre-employment. So what does BT as a company look and feel like in schools and colleges before actually people start their employment, essentially.
So really important stuff.
Yeah.
And the onerous question: how long have you been at BT?
Ooh, right now I've actually, I can't believe this, to be fair, David. 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm man and boy actually. That said, I've left quite a few times, and I was in a subsidiary for 2 years within that, over in the States, and actually I've moved around quite a bit, so as we'll probably talk about in a minute, I think it's important that you get variety. So I've been in quite a few lobs. I change jobs probably every 2 or 3 years. It just makes you fresh, and actually, as you probably know, BT is a big business, so you could, when you do move lobs, in some ways it's like moving businesses, because they all have their own priorities, their own cultures and such like. So, but yeah, the big 3-0 for me.
And how did you come about initially working for BT? What was your entry into
So yeah, I joined under an accountancy training sort of scheme, as it were. So I used to work for Tony Chamugan, our current CFO, and on the day there was you can qualify, so it was a bit like a sort of sandwich course effectively. So you had a bit of sort of business experience, but then you also qualified as well. So over 3 years, so I came straight from college, did my 3 years, became qualified, stayed in finance for the first sort of 10 years of my career actually. So really enjoyed it as well.
And do you do any finance stuff at the moment?
Not officially, but it's a really good groundwork, because I think most things within the business have a financial connotation to them. We're in business to make money, so to have that appreciation is very valuable actually, regardless of what job I've had. So it's been a good start actually.
And briefly, how did you come to get to the director of the Academy then? What's the sort of the big milestones, I guess, in your career?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So as I said, I've had quite a few. So I started my career, as I said, in finance, and that was great. So I did some merger and acquisition work, did some central planning work, all that good stuff. But then I wanted to get into more wider commercial appreciation and support work. So I started supporting some of the product lines, so broadband, fibre, and became their finance support and their commercial support. That led me to get into pure product management as well, so there was a link there. So I really enjoyed the product management, so I became a product manager and actually introduced our new our first fibre portfolio actually some years back. Then I got into selling those actually. So having got a product appreciation, I then got into how do we bundle those up and sell them to corporates. Then off the back of that, I went into project management. So because having sold them, you get into contract management, which is sort of aligned to sort of project management. I got into that and actually project managed BT Sport, or the operational element of it, which is great. That's a great experience that was. And then, about 2 years ago, because of my operational background and my line of business experience, I guess, I was asked to come and launch the Academy, which has been an amazing journey for me, actually, one I've thoroughly enjoyed and am enjoying.
So as you said, loads of different roles across your 30-year BT history.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. What do you think the biggest challenge facing BT at this present moment is?
Good question. I think there's probably two that spring to mind. First of all, as you're probably aware, customer experience is a massive thing, and I think BT, to be fair, has sort of grappled with customer experience, customer service, but certainly what we're calling customer experience now for a long time. And actually, a company the size of BT and the complexity of BT, that is a hard act, actually, to be fair. But there is a really renewed sort of energy behind it, with Lisa now being our chief customer officer on the OC, etc. So I think, but mindsets need to change to make that win. I think, and I think that's a big cultural difference for us. I think individually we all get the notion of being customer centric, but in our day-to-day lives that's hard to do. So at times, so I think to get that mind shift is going to be a big issue for us. I think the second one is the EE integration. So fingers crossed we get the CMA approval.
Maybe when this goes out.
And I was just saying, maybe when this goes out, we've already got it, or otherwise. But yeah, all things going well, that will be a massive thing. It'll be a hugely exciting part of BT's history. But with any big integration, that is a tough act as well. So those two things, I'd say.
Wow, they are definitely big challenges within the company. From your 30-year portfolio of jobs within BT, what's been the highlight?
Oh, good question. If I can have two.
Of course. Yeah, I'd be generous.
So I say BT Sport was. I think that was so unique. And from a project management perspective, we had a deadline, which was the first Premier League game, 17th of August. That wasn't going to shift. Quarter to one it was. We had the first game, as you might remember, of the Premier League season, and that wasn't going to shift. So there's nothing like a deadline like that millions of people are focused on to focus the mind. So that was really good. And the nature of BT moving into something new and very exciting and actually very brand enhancing was very exciting. So you meet some of the celebs as well, which was nice. But it was a hugely engaging piece of work. And the second one I'd say was this current role actually. And I say that for good reason. I think it's the first program or role I've had that is very positive. It is very constructive for people in BT, and actually is one that affects every one of us. So all 90,000 people have some goodness through the academy, and that's very motivating, and it is very enjoyable. So those two, I'd say.
Yeah, I would in fact say the sport one sounds incredible.
Yeah, it was exciting
and petrifying at the same time.
Yes, exactly. It's well put. Yeah.
So this one's probably the hardest question of the interview. Can you tell me a time where you had a fail moment? And then
how long have you got?
Well, I mean, you can list them if you want. And how did you recover from that?
Sure.
And then what did you learn?
So I guess like many of us, even on your short career so far, I think one thing that is clear is that you only learn from things that didn't go well. And I think you'll talk to sportsmen and people outside of BT. The best learning is when things haven't gone quite right, because that focuses the mind. You do a lot of examination around that. So failure is part of life, and actually when you are challenged and when you challenge yourself, failure becomes a sort of an accepted risk almost. So, but to answer your question, probably it was when I was in wholesale, and we were given this challenge to sell into what we call CPs, which are sort of effectively wholesalers of quite small, but the margins are exceptionally thin. So it's margin on margin on margin, and to make a compelling proposition into those guys is incredibly hard. And we just didn't get it right. We had very tall targets, and I just don't think we galvanised the team around it. The lesson for me was we didn't get the senior backing, and actually we let it go on too long without being honest to the business. So I said I wasn't honest to say this is a lot of effort. The reward's minimal. We're better off putting our effort somewhere else from a market segment, and I think that was my failing. So, but as I say, you always learn from things like that. But that was probably the one that stands out.
And have you taken that into all the jobs since then?
Yeah, sure. So a couple of things that are transferable is don't dwell on it. So acknowledge it, learn from it, then move on. Because if you talk to people that are successful, whether that be self-made, businessmen, they've probably gone through bankruptcy quite a few times before they've hit it big time. So don't dwell on it, learn from it. And I would say that the one thing I do carry through all my subsequent roles is to be honest and look at the challenge through: is this good use of my time? Is it good use of my team's time? Is it really, really driving business value? And if it's not, have the gumption and the integrity, I guess, to question it and move on from there.
It's all about value.
It is absolutely.
Degrees. So moving away from BT for a second, what do you get up into in your spare time? Anything that, are you a skydiver?
No, not like I used to be, no. No. So I like skiing. I go skiing a couple of times a season probably. Really enjoy that. That's my sort of thing. I love travel generally, so I think I make a point of trying to go to new places every year. At least you have your favourites, but I think the world's such a lovely place. You know, it seems a shame not to visit all of it if I can. So I love the travelling side, and I love socialising. I enjoy my friends. I enjoy having people over. I enjoy my extended family. I enjoy my wife's family. So yeah, so socialising, skiing, and travel.
And where's the most exciting place you've travelled to?
I would say Rwanda in Africa. So I was out there, saw the gorillas, met Diane Fossey, who was the lady that was unfortunately killed actually not long after I met her. But yeah, that was an incredible experience to sit with all the mountain gorillas in their environment was absolutely incredible. And that was a few years back now, but yeah, really an outstanding memory actually.
And obviously in a position like yours, is it difficult to balance the personal life, work-life balance?
It can be, and I think when you're under times of pressure, it can be hard. But I think I try and focus on the important things, and I think it's important for all of us, regardless of what role we play in BT, is give yourself time to think and prioritise the things of our most value to the business. And in that way, you sort of calm yourself down and you get perspective as well. So I enjoy my job. I always have enjoyed my job, and I think it's important to make sure that you realise, put work in context of the wider life you have, because you spend sort of 30% or so in your life at work. So make it enjoyable, but keep it in context. You know, and do focus just on the important things, because it's tempting to try and do everything, and you just can't.
Yeah. So, looking back to your current role, which is to do with the academy, and obviously this is going out to graduates and apprentices. How can we, as graduates and the apprentices, benefit from the academy? What would you say to them or us?
No, so I mean, I've been asked that question, and it's a great question. It's the question, quite frankly. So the simple answer is, if you immerse yourself, and I'll go on to that in a minute, into the academy, you have a better chance of progression. However you define that, whether you want to do your current role better, whether you want to get promoted, whether you want to find a different role sideways into a different profession or a different lob, you are better off, or your chances are much higher in doing that if you immerse yourself in the academy. And what I mean by that is, get yourself aware of what the academy is. Look at your profession website, look at some of the training that's on there, look at some of the career pathways that are on there, and contribute. So be part of it, because one of the things about being successful is most successful people have a good network of people, and at the end of the day, and you'll talk to a lot of the seniors. In fact, Mark Hughes talked about it at one of the graduations recently. One of his bits of advice was know people. So get on with people, because that's how business is done, and that's how collaboration is done, and that brings us all forward. So yeah, get involved, contribute, have an opinion, find out who the big players are in your profession. And task yourself about learning something new, something that might have not been apparent to you, but is relevant to your role, and try and stretch yourself and just immerse yourself in it, because you'll find that if you do that on a regular basis, something I call personal equity, you'll get a personal equity and you'll feel a bit more good about yourself.
Great advice. So finally, if you could say something to a new joiner, whether it be a graduate or apprentice or any other route into the business, what would it be? What piece of advice?
Great question. So three things I would suggest. First of all, is have an ambition. So, and that doesn't have to be sort of a technical orientated one. It doesn't have to be a huge complex career plan, but have something that you're aiming for. And that could be as simple as doing your current role even better than you are doing it now. It might be to move into a different lob. It might be to get promoted in a few years' time. But have something that you're aiming for, because that helps calibrate a lot of your actions around a goal. So it's nice to have a goal. The second thing I would say is get on with people. So I mentioned it earlier on. I think that's how things tick, actually, and how you will progress through the business. And actually, at the end of the day, any senior worth their salt, if they were approached by an apprentice or by a graduate and was asked for some advice, they would love to give some of their advice back and give back some of their experiences. So do reach out to the network that is the BT employee set. And then finally, and it's on a happy note really, is enjoy it, I would say, because as I said earlier, we do spend a long time at work. So let's try and make it enjoyable. Trust yourself, and you'll be fine. That's what I said.
Brilliant piece of advice. So that was really informative, David, and thank you very much for your time. I hope you've enjoyed this video interview. Hopefully there'll be a lot more to come. And that's all from me and David. So all final thing is stay classy, TSO grads.